Welcome back, students. I am Madhumita Chakravarti, your social science teacher, and in today's session, we are going to deal with the historical changes of the three sectors. As we all know, that earlier times, before the advent of industrialization, or we can say before the advent of the technology, the maximum population were dependent on agriculture. So the main occupation of the people were agriculture. And whenever we go through the historical changes of the economic sectors, we find that the economic activities had gradually shifted from the primary to secondary and secondary to tertiary sector. The developed countries of today, if we find their history, then we will come to know that once they too were all agricultural countries. And with the advent of the industrialization, the primary sectors shifted to secondary sectors. Now, we can see that in a shift from secondary to tertiary sector, and it has become the most important sector. Why we are saying this? Because earlier in the last video, I have already told you that when we are talking about the three sectors and their contribution in GDP, we find that the tertiary sectors contribution in GDP is the most, and so now this tertiary sector is turning very important in an economy. Now, the shifting does not mean that the other sectors are not working or they are completely finished, but it means that with the change of time or with the shift of time, their dominance and their importance has been declining or they are getting reduced. So, in the graph which I am going to show you right now, you can see there that a change in the contribution in the three sectors in GDP, if we compare it to the year 1970-71 to the year 2010 and 11. So now when I am showing you the graph, look into the graph very carefully. Now students, see the graph. You can see that there is a change in the contribution of three sectors in GDP. In the year 1970-71, the contribution of primary sector to GDP compared to the other two was more, but now in 2010 and 11, you can see the contribution of tertiary is more than the comparison to the earlier 1970-71. Now, why this happened, students? Because the services increased like banking, export, telecommunication, information technology, etc. So the reasons which really led to the rising of the tertiary sector's importance can be discussed like this. That demand for basic services like hospital, educational institutions, then your postal services, police stations, banks, etc. increased, and it's been successful. Why? Because the government has fulfilled everything to a great extent. Then the greater development in primary and secondary has induced demand for service sector growth, because in primary and secondary what is required? Your trade, then transportation, communication, and and banking. Who provides this? The service sector. So it's quite obvious that the tertiary sector is growing more and more important in today's economy. Then we have seen that due to the change in time, there is shift in the economic activities too. As we have discussed earlier, that with the improved technology, the people from the agricultural sector now shifted to the industrial sector, that is the secondary sector. So when people start, due to technology, people started getting more and more employment, because new factories and industries came up. And as the people started employment or doing the job, their income level also increased, and so the demand for better quality life and better standard of living also increased, and due to which what happened? The people started spending more and more in their luxuries, or you can say they started spending time to visit the places, that is increased tourism, then started doing more and more shopping, then started doing the health cares in the private hospitals, started sending their children in private schools, and which enhanced the service sector. Then, on top of this, the globalization also played an important role in increasing the importance of tertiary sector. And how that is done? Because of the globalization, the services which have entered Indian markets, like the information technology and communication technology, also played a very important role. Now students, just see the next graph after the GDP. That is, we see here about the employment in different sectors. Again here the scenario is totally different. You can see primary sector is still the largest employer in the country, whereas when we were talking about the GDP, the contribution was the largest was the tertiary sector. Now here, why? The main reason is secondary and tertiary sector has not created enough job to provide employment to the migrants from rural or agricultural sector. So looking at the graph, it is quite visible that the three sectors grew in comparison to the year 70-71, but the growth rate in providing employment is not fast. And so here we can see that the agricultural sector is the one which is providing largest employer in the country. And many workers in primary are disguised unemployed or underemployed. As I said, that people working in the agricultural sectors are underemployed or disguised unemployed. Now, how this is possible? Let us take an example that suppose a farmer is cultivating his land, and in his family there are 7 members, and all the 7 members are engaged in this cultivation work, whereas he requires only 3% in the cultivation work. So the rest of the 4% is what it seems that they are employed, but actually they are not doing according to their potential what is required to do the work. And if they are taken away from their work, then it is not going to hamper the production or the cultivation process. So these people come under disguised unemployment. How? Though it seems that they are employed, but actually they are not employed. Why? Because whatever the potential they are having, they are not working according to it. Their potential is wasted. So here we can say that due to this disguised unemployment also, it seems that the agriculture provides more and more job or employment. Now, here comes a question that how to create employment. Why? Because we are seeing that the people, those who are engaged in agriculture, are not using their full potential. So in your textbook, you all might have read page number 26 of your economics, where the example of the small farmer Lakshmi is given. Now, when we are taking in consideration with the example of Lakshmi of your book, what we see is that she owns only 2 hectares of unirrigated land and depends on monsoon for irrigation and growing crops like your jawar and arhar. All the 5 members in her family are engaged in the plot for the whole year. And what we observe here is that each and every one is working. No one is idle. But what is the actual thing? That many of them are unable to give their actual potential in the work. So we observe a situation of disguised unemployment in Lakshmi's farm. Let us assume that if a person named Satyapal is a landowner and he wants the labor to work in his field. Now, if from Lakshmi's farm, if 2% or 3% goes and work in Satyapal's field, then Lakshmi's production of the crops is not at all going to hamper, or it is not going to affect. And so here what happens when the two members are going to Satyapal's farm for work, they have started earning. And this happens what? It supplements the income of Lakshmi. And that is how they, where we were seeing the disguised unemployment, that can be removed. Why? Because the 2% or the 3% whom Satyapal has hired to work in his field got a job, and they are earning according to their potential. Now comes the question, how to create employment in the rural areas. To create the employment in rural areas, the very first and foremost thing which the government can do is the setting up of the banks. And this we are going to do it in the later chapter of your economics, that is third chapter, money and credit, where we will see that how the banks play an important role in the economy. So coming back to our topic, what I was saying was that how the banks can help in the economy. The banks, what they do is they can provide the cheap rates of loan to the farmers, and where the farmers can use it to purchase the requirements what are needed in the growth of the crops or in their cultivation work process. And then with the cheap loans, the farmer even can start setting up your tube wells, which are really very helpful in the times when it is a dry season, because many of the crops which require irrigation, that is water, from where it is going to come? Because most of the farmers, they depend on monsoon, and if the monsoon is not proper and in time, then everything is going to hamper. So therefore, if the farmers get a cheap loan, then they can use it in setting up of the tube wells or the wells or tankers, or they can even build up canals, small canals, and which would help them in the work of irrigation. Then is the next thing which the government can do is the setting up of dams in the area, which would give more and more employment to the local people by providing them to build up or the construction of the work of the dam. Then secondly, whatever allied industries which are going to come up due to this construction of dams are also benefited. People will get more and more job. And then we can also say that with the surplus of the production because of this irrigation facilities, then because of the bank which are providing cheap loans, what will happen? The production will increase, and with the surplus production there will be need for the chain of storage, then transportation, then trade, then communication. So as a whole, what will happen? The economy is going to develop. And even the farmers who produce such materials which can further be processed, like suppose a farmer is growing mango, so it can be further processed into pickles, then into jam, then into some snacks. And so what is happening over here? Many other rural people are going to get job in the factories which will be set up near the farms. So what is happening? Like this, in a chain, many people are going to get employment, and the problem of unemployment also can be sorted out to a great extent. And then the one more thing is also there which I was forgetting, that is the improvement in the rural infrastructure. So what is this improvement in the rural infrastructure? That is the road construction. The roads should be built in. So if the roads are your Pakka roads, then there won't be any problem of transportation. And if there is no problem of transportation, obviously the trades are going to grow up between the rural areas and the urban areas, or what we can say between the villages and the towns, because we know whatever vegetables, whatever fruits we are getting in the urban areas, from where we are getting it? We are getting it from the rural areas. So these all things together makes the employment process into a smooth, and to some extent we can avoid the situations of unemployment and create employment. So today I think that it is very much clear to you all students that the contribution of the three sectors in the GDP, and then we were talking about the contribution of the sectors in employment, where we have seen that primary still gives a larger part of employment to the people of the country. And if the situations of unemployment is arising, so how it can be cope up? That is by creating more and more employment, by discussing the various points we have seen. It is very well possible. So I think it is clear to you all, and in the next video we are going to see about the classification of the sectors on the basis of our ownership, that is public and private. Thank you students. Have a blissful day ahead. See you in the next video.